So last night, just before I was turning in, I got a text message from my friend Eric at Hey Internet Eric here, and I'm going to put the link to his channel in the description because it's definitely a channel you should be checking out. He covers a lot of fun horror stuff, but he's also a huge wrestling fan like myself, although he's a bit younger. And he told me that Ole Anderson had passed away, and grabbed my phone real quick, read the text message. I sent something back, and then I scrolled a little bit through X, and obviously it's all over the place. And I thought to make a video about it. Ole Anderson, for me, was also part of my introduction to Worldwide Wrestling and Crockett Promotions back in the early 80s. The Four Horsemen, Nature Boy Ric Flair. And Flair was the only one at that time of the Four Horsemen that I liked, because it was Tully Blanchard, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, and J.J. Dillon. And they were just the ultimate heels, but Flair was just so damn cool, you couldn't help but like him. And then Flair sort of, almost broke away, as his own star just sort of skyrocketed. But looking back on it now, I mean, Ole Anderson was he seemed like a rock. And his look at the time was that of a man who, didn't have the look of wrestlers today. He wasn't all, juiced up, and, he wasn't covered in baby oil. He looked like your really mean uncle, which was kind of scarier than the big muscle heads like Luger or the Road Warriors or anything like that. But he went at it with them all the time. And the Horsemen always seemed to come out on top because, you've always got to be, you got to have the face chasing the heel, so to speak. And so, he looked like that sort of Harley Race kind of, like a man from a different era, but a man, and he just looked like he would stomp a mud hole in you, if you looked at him sideways. And, looking back on it now, I really appreciate, what he did for professional wrestling. But let's get into the article. It says, Four Horsemen member Ole Anderson passes away at 81 years old. R.I.P. Ole Anderson. And this is from Aaron Varble. And this is from SEScoops.com. And the link to this will also be in the description. And it says, Ole Anderson, a pivotal figure in professional wrestling, has died at the age of 81. Our thoughts are with his family, friends, and fans during this sad time. The Four Horsemen member will be forever remembered for his contributions to the business. And that is absolutely true. And I saw somebody tweet on X that when Ole Anderson arrives at the pearly gates, probably the first thing he's going to do is attack Dusty Rhodes, which I just think is fantastic. As one of the founding members of the Four Horsemen, alongside Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard, and J.J. Dillon, Ole left an indelible mark on the industry throughout his career, which spanned from 1967 to 1990. He held NWA titles in various promotions and territories. In 2003, he authored Inside Out, How Corporate America Destroyed Professional Wrestling, shedding light on the inner workings of the industry. And now I'm going to have to find that. Maybe I can find a cheap copy of it today on Amazon before everybody else grabs him up. Ole was never one to hold back on his opinions, and he also held positions outside the ring. And that is my understanding as well. Long before internet shoot interviews, this guy would just tell you what he thought. My understanding, he couldn't stand Vince McMahon, and he had no problems, letting him know that. And, it cost him some money and possibly, a bigger push, but then he wouldn't be Ole Anderson. He'd be a WWE superstar, in sports. And he was not a sports entertainer. This man was not a sports entertainer. He was a professional wrestler. And I think, I would have not called him some sort of superstar or, a sports entertainer. That would have been at my peril had I ever met him, which I did not. And there's an interclassic Ole Anderson shoot interview right here from highsportswrestling.com. Like I said, the link for the whole article will be there. You can check it out. Beyond his achievements in the ring, Ole served as a booker for Georgia Championship Wrestling and Jim Crockett Promotions, contributing significantly to the development of wrestling storylines and talent. The news of Ole Anderson's passing was first shared by Ricky Morton, from the Rock and Roll Express. And again, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, always feuding with the Four Horsemen, always feuding with the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette. Again, another legend in the business. And you look at these guys now, and you just have to appreciate what they've done, because they just didn't have that kind of look. But man, could they draw the crowd. I mean, just, you came out in droves to see the Rock and Roll Express take on the Midnight Express, take on the Horseman, to see Ricky Morton fight Flair. It's just fantastic stuff. And it's easy to forget it sometimes when you're caught up in all the hoopla of today with pyrotechnics and, everybody's, like I said, covered in baby oil and, muscles and huge power people, to forget these guys that paved the way. But I hope that doesn't happen. And, that's one of the good reasons why the internet is here. These interviews and these thoughts and these sorts of videos, even the small one that I'm making here, will become part of the, unofficial record, so to speak, to the history and the gratitude that we have towards these men and women. He sent out an Instagram post to let everyone know this sad news. And here we go. The babyface Ricky Morton says, "Rest in paradise, Ole Anderson. You taught me so much in professional wrestling. You were tough as nails. You will be missed, my friend." So let's look at a bit of Ole Anderson's career. Ole Anderson, born Alan Robert Rogowski on September 22nd, 1942, was best known for his time in the National Wrestling Alliance and World Championship Wrestling. Anderson started his wrestling career in the early 1960s and quickly rose to prominence as a tag team specialist. That's right. Alongside his brother Gene, he formed the tag team, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Wow. And if that doesn't sum up the Anderson sort of legacy, even passing it on to Arn, I don't know what does. Which achieved considerable success in various territories. Anderson was known for his tough and no-nonsense in-ring style, often portraying a villainous persona. They also had this thing the Andersons did where they worked on like one limb. They would just grab an arm and work on it, or grab a leg and just work on it and work on it and work on it the entire time. And that became just a very punishing kind of style. It wasn't flashy. The promos weren't flashy, but they meant business. They don't have that kind of thing today. Throughout his career, he held numerous tag team championships and competed against some of the top stars in the industry. And there's an Ole and Arn versus Brody Jason Walker, probably doing the job for them there. Arn Anderson was initially introduced as the brother of Gene, Lars, and Ole, though at the time he was also presented as a cousin or nephew. Later that year, Arn formed a tag team with Ole following the release of his previous partner, Osborne, from GCW. The duo of Ole and Arn continued to team up until Ole's retirement in 1987, which was the year that I graduated high school and broke away a little bit from professional wrestling, a little bit, as I got into college and just, life changes a little bit. After retiring from in-ring competition, Anderson remained involved, in the wrestling business as a promoter and behind-the-scenes figure. He played a significant role in shaping the wrestling landscape during the territorial era and beyond. Anderson's contributions to the industry have left a lasting legacy, influencing some future generations of wrestlers and promoters. And here is another YouTube video of Arn Anderson talking about Ole. That era is no more. I don't know. I don't think. That's not true because the indie promotions are very territorial, and you're seeing these guys. If you watch the Netflix documentary Wrestlers, you see OVW bring in somebody to win the championship. He's like a legend in the indie promotion. So these sort of territorial things are still happening. It's easy to forget about them as they're being sort of, almost drowned out in the deluge of the noise of the controversy, with WWE and, AEW, and then, the Vince McMahon, the road to WrestleMania with The Rock, and then, all the negative controversies that are going on right now. It's easy to forget that these sorts of things are still happening. And so I wonder, at the local level, if there are, these sorts of characters that are still out there. I hope that there are. I hope that there are. And, I've got the IWTV, which I've just sort of fallen away from, and I'm not getting as much of an opportunity to catch up on as I would like. I'm starting to work something out where I'm regimenting my time more. So I hope to be spending a little more time covering some indie promotions, and that would be cool. And to get away from, the constant deluge and barrage of negativity, because I don't want to turn this into a tabloid. But yeah, when Ole Anderson passes, you have to stop and take notice. So that's my video. Like this video. Leave a comment. What did you think of Ole Anderson? Did you get a chance to see him? Oh, there is one more thing I wanted to put up, and that was this X tweet that I saw just before I went on. And this is from Clark Townsend at True Confidence 25. I'm at that age that all the people who I watched as a little kid are dying. R.I.P. Ole Anderson. I loved the Four Horsemen as a kid Saturday morning, watching NWA like a religion. Yeah, I know how you feel, man. I feel the same way. These guys that were doing it for Crockett Promotions were all 180 from what I had grown up seeing in the WWF, and then the WWF, the Hogan era and the Backlund era, and I mean, maybe you got something a little similar by the, in the Bruno era and the Stan Hansen era, these sorts of guys. But by the time we had moved into Hogan, it had completely changed and become commercialized. And, it was more, it seemed of lunch boxes and merchandising and these sorts of things. And then somewhere around 1983 in New Jersey, I got a chance to watch, it came into our local cable, selections, Worldwide Wrestling. And I never turned back to WWF again, really, because this was what I was watching. National Wrestling Alliance, Crockett Promotions, Worldwide. Yeah, okay. So that's my video again. Like the video, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Were you a fan of Ole Anderson? Were you not a fan? Did you never see any of his work? You should get on YouTube and find it. There's lots of it out there today. I assure you. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video. All right, take care.